My name is Elena Carter. I'm 25, and the first time my family taught me what I am to them was the morning they canceled my birthday for my sister's date. "We're postponing your party, sweetheart," my mother said, voice smooth as polished silver. "Marissa has dinner with the mayor's son, and we need the house perfect." She was arranging white roses like we were staging a museum exhibit, not our living room in Brookfield, Connecticut. My father buffed a serving tray that hadn't seen daylight in a decade. Marissa drifted in wearing a cream dress I'd unknowingly helped pay for. The kind of dress that announces a price tag before a person. 25 isn't a milestone, she cooed, the way people do when they've never had to earn anything. No streamers, no pancakes, no one even said happy birthday. Just an efficient reallocation of resources. My birthday moved aside like a chair in their path to Preston Whitaker III's attention. I stood there in the kitchen with the expensive espresso machine I'd bought them hissing behind me, and felt something, more than anger, split cleanly inside. For 18 months, I'd carried our mortgage in my veins. $3,200 a month wired from my account to theirs. I covered insurance, property taxes, the lawn service my mother insisted increased curb appeal, and the fees for the cleaning lady who knew my schedule better than my mother did. I was the reliable one, the practical one, the daughter who could work 60-hour weeks at Ridgeline and Ames. The youngest senior analyst to handle corporate restructurings alone, and still come home to be the quiet gravity that kept the Carter household in orbit. They didn't just cancel a party. They canceled the illusion I needed, that I mattered here except as a line item. "Could you call the guests?" my mother asked, relieved when I nodded. Understanding Elena, good girl. Her eyes already moved past me to the crystal, the flowers, the choreography of impressing the Whitakers. I climbed the stairs to the room I'd moved back into 2 years ago to help us through a temporary rough patch, opened my laptop, and pulled up the banking dashboard where my family's life had become a spreadsheet I managed. Tomorrow's mortgage transfer glowed on the screen like a promise I no longer intended to keep. I clicked into the settings and paused it. My thumb hovered just long enough to let the past plead its case. Then I confirmed. The relief was physical, like setting down a box I'd been pretending wasn't heavy. My phone buzzed. Jessa, my best friend since college. Just landed. "Where am I meeting the birthday girl?" "Change of plans," I typed. "Meet me at the Hartford Marriott. We're celebrating differently." Downstairs. My mother rehearsed the performance. Upstairs. I rewrote the script. I searched for downtown apartments. I checked the property tax portal. Next payment due in 10 days. I opened my insurance account and scheduled removals. Not sabotage. Not revenge. Removal of subsidies. Reality restored. By the time I slid behind the wheel of my old Civic headed for the airport, the sky over I-91 was the color of pewter. Jessa's red hair flashed like a flare at the arrivals curb. She threw her arms around me and whispered, "Happy birthday." CFO of everyone's mess into my ear. We drove into Hartford and I told her everything. The canceled party, the 18 months, the catalog of small humiliations that only make sense when you stack it in columns and totals. "How long?" she asked when I said mortgage. 18 months, I said. Her whistle cut the air. That's not help. That's triage on a patient who refuses the surgery. In the lobby bar, she ordered champagne. I didn't think I deserved, and I pulled up the spreadsheets no one in my family had ever asked to see. Car insurance, health premiums, the gym membership my sister never used but liked to flash, the boutique subscriptions, the BMW lease in Marissa's name that I'd co-signed because our parents said I had the credit profile for it, the mileage overage, the unreported door dent, the penalties waiting like sharks just under the surface, my father's office lease in a building that said success without earning it, the club dues, the timeshare brochures labeled investments stuffed in a file in his desk, the crypto pitch deck, the multi-level supplement scheme, the IRS letters. I showed Jessa the forged loan application I discovered in May, with my name scrawled in my sister's soft, round hand. The investigator's report I'd commissioned afterward because I wanted facts admissible in court if it came to that. I had been documenting everything because I document for a living. Every debt, every transfer, every petty justification. I could save other people's companies in my sleep. My own family. They mistook my competence for a bottomless well. "What's the plan?" Jessa asked, eyes steady, like she was bracing the door for me. "Consequences," I said, "not cruelty. Clarity." I had already drafted the sequence. Mortgage transfer canceled after due date to trigger a notice that would pierce denial. Insurance removals effective Monday. Property taxes left for them to discover before liens began. Subscriptions canceled in a falling row of dominoes so Marissa would feel, for the first time, the gravity of money. I would move out before the first wave hit so my resolve wouldn't soften at the sound of my mother crying. I had a contract offer from a Hartford startup, nearly my salary with flexibility to build my own client list. I had a loft approved, a landlord waiting on my signature, a life of my own, shockingly affordable once I stopped underwriting their performance. We raised our glasses. To strategic mercy, Jessa said, to no longer mistaking rescue for love. I answered, and wrote a short note to accompany the champagne I'd scheduled for delivery to my parents' dinner. Congratulations on prioritizing what matters most. Love. Elena. They would read grace. I meant goodbye. The lights of Hartford came on outside the hotel windows, one building at a time, a city exhaling into evening. I closed the laptop. Tonight my family would have exactly what they chose. A perfect scene focused entirely on my sister's future. Tomorrow would teach them what happens when you neglect the foundation to decorate the facade. Sunday morning. My phone shrilled against the silence of the Hartford hotel suite. I almost didn't answer, but habit still had a grip on me. My mother's voice cracked through the line. Elena. Thank God. The bank called. Our mortgage payment was rejected. There has to be some mistake. Fix this now. Through the wide window, sunlight washed the city gold. I said good morning first, because that mattered to me. Then, calmly, I told her there was no mistake. I hadn't paid. The silence on the other end was heavy, broken only by my father's voice asking urgent questions she couldn't answer. What do you mean you didn't make the payment? She whispered. I told her again. I had canceled the transfer. My father came on speaker, his voice rising, demanding. I laid it out. The insurance policies removed effective tomorrow. The property taxes due in 9 days. The BMW lease violations. The phone lines. The gym memberships. The subscription boxes. You can figure it out, I said evenly. You've always had options. You just never needed to use them. The explosion was immediate. My mother pleading, my father bargaining, my sister shrieking about her car, her phone, her dinner at the country club next weekend. They talked over one another until their panic became white noise. When I cut through, my voice was calm enough to startle even me. Do you know how much I've carried? $4,800 every month. Mortgage, taxes, insurance, luxuries. I have records of everything. Your debts, your loans, Madison's credit card balances, the forged application she tried to slip through with my name on it. I've been your safety net. That ends today. Madison's voice cracked sharp, calling me vindictive, cruel, obsessed with a birthday. That word, stupid, was the nail. She still thought this was about cake and candles. I told her what would happen with her car. The repossession looming. Her phone. Her subscriptions. All cut off. Her modeling fund dead. If she wanted to keep up appearances, maybe Marcus Whitaker would pick up the tab. Or she could get a real job. Like most 23-year-olds. My father, still trying diplomacy, offered loans, repayment structures. A temporary compromise. I laughed. Not with joy, but with the dark recognition of how blind they'd been. I've been warning you for 2 years. You ignored me, because it was easier to bleed me dry than to grow up. They fell into the sound I'd been waiting for all along, the murmuring of people actually confronting reality. No more Samantha will handle it. No more Elena will cover it. Now, they were the ones with timelines and consequences. My mother asked what I wanted. Respect, accountability, acknowledgement that I was not a resource but a person. I've accepted a new job. I'm moving out. I'm prioritizing my own future. My father's voice cracked on the word moving. My mother's whispered, You're leaving us. I told them the truth. I'm moving on, Madison begged in the background, desperation finally puncturing her honeyed tone. I can't show up in Dad's Honda. What will I tell Marcus? I said the words with steel. Tell him the truth, or tell him nothing. That choice is yours, and for once, only yours. The panic dulled, replaced by stunned quiet. I told them they had 10 days to cover the mortgage. The same options any family would. Cut expenses, sell assets, find income. I wasn't special. They weren't helpless. They'd just convinced themselves they were. I ended the call, turned off the phone, stared out at Hartford. A city alive with strangers living their own chosen lives. For the first time in years, I was about to join them. By Wednesday, the flood began. Texts from my mother. Insurance lapsed. I can't drive. From my father. Bank demands $3,472 plus fees. What do we do? From Marissa? They cut my phone mid-call with Marcus. Fix this now. Their unraveling painted itself across my screen in frantic strokes. Then Tony, my father's business partner, called directly. He's been siphoning $18,000 from the firm to cover personal bills, Tony said. His voice edged with fury. If he doesn't replace it, we can't make payroll. I'll dissolve the partnership. I'll report him. I sat there, the weight of my father's theft crashing through me. He hadn't just mismanaged. He'd stolen from employees, from a business, justified by the lie that his reliable daughter kept the roof steady. The next ring chilled me further. Marcus himself. Polite, deliberate. Mrs. Carter, Madison asked me to call. She says you're withholding funds that are causing issues with her car and phone. My laugh was sharp, humorless. I explained. Without venom, the truth. I no longer subsidized their lives. Marcus was quiet. Madison implied this was sibling jealousy, a spat about a birthday. But what you're saying, this is serious. His voice shifted, measured, calculating. I'll ask her for honesty. Thank you for your candor. I hung up shaking, a mix of vindication and sorrow. Even Madison's new prince would see through her illusions now. That night, Aunt Caroline called. She'd driven up for the canceled party and found herself in the middle of collapse. My mother crying, my father muttering about bankruptcy. Marissa locked in her room. Are you really prepared to let them lose the house? She asked. Voice taut. I said yes, because maybe they needed to lose it. Maybe only fire teaches some people not to play with matches. They're trying, Caroline whispered. Your father's been to 3 banks. Your mother called everyone she knows. Marissa applied for 6 jobs yesterday. I closed my eyes. Progress. Painful. Humiliating. But progress. For the first time in years. They were learning effort. They were learning hunger. They were learning life. By Thursday, the pounding at my apartment door came with a name I hadn't expected to see so soon. Marissa. Her eyes were swollen. Her hair scraped back into a ragged ponytail. And her designer glow was gone, replaced with the dull exhaustion of someone who had been crying more than sleeping. She stood in jeans and a wrinkled t-shirt, not the curated image she used to polish like armor. Can I come in? She asked, voice stripped bare. I stepped aside. She looked around the loft, her gaze catching on the simple furniture, the desk where spreadsheets glowed on my laptop screen, the sense of order. This is really nice, she murmured, almost as if seeing for the first time that I'd built something beyond the Carter house. I've been saving for it for years, I said, and we sat in silence until the words finally broke from her. Marcus broke up with me yesterday. Flat, like she'd rehearsed it too many times to let it sting. I braced myself for venom, but what came next disarmed me. He said he didn't like being misled, that he wanted honesty, not illusions. He was right. I've been pretending to be someone I'm not, and I don't even know who I really am. Her voice wavered, and for the first time in years, I saw not the smug younger sister I'd carried, but a girl who had never once been asked to carry herself. How do you do it? She whispered. How do you pay bills? Save money, plan a future, and not fall apart. My laugh was soft, sad. I do fall apart. Marissa, it isn't easy, but it's discipline. It's choosing what matters, and sacrificing for it. It's work, every single day. She nodded. Blinking rapidly, I applied for a full-time job, marketing assistant. Only $32,000 a year, but it's something, and I'm selling my clothes, my jewelry. They said I could get maybe $15,000. I'm trying. Elena, her voice cracked on that last word, and for the first time, it wasn't manipulation. It was truth. I felt pride slip in where bitterness had lived so long. She was finally touching reality with her bare hands. That's a start, I said. Don't stop. Keep walking toward it. She nodded again, her chin trembling. Mom's talking about working full-time. Dad says he'll pay Tony back, but he doesn't know how. They're angry at you, but they're also realizing. She looked at me, and her eyes held a clarity I'd never seen before. We treated you like a machine. Like your money wasn't yours. We were awful. I felt something loosen inside me. I hadn't hated her. Not ever. I'd hated what she represented. What she demanded of me. I never wanted to punish you. I told her. I wanted you to grow. For all of us to grow. She stood to leave, her hand lingering on the back of the chair. I don't know if Mom and Dad will ever admit it, she said quietly. But I'm going to try to be different. I don't want to be that girl anymore. When she closed the door behind her, I sat in the silence and, for the first time since the party was canceled, I felt something stronger than relief. Hope. 3 months passed. December snow softened Hartford's streets, and my consulting firm, Carter Financial Solutions, was days from its official launch. My phone rang, my mother's number. Her voice was unsteady, but not with panic. Tentative, almost humble. Elena, I hope I'm not interrupting. I needed to tell you something. We saved the house. Barely, but we did. Your father sold the Cadillac. I sold jewelry. Marissa sold her things. And I took a full-time position at the regional library, head of adult literacy. I love it. Her voice caught, but she pressed on. Your father's business, he adapted, smaller office, modern software, virtual services. His revenue is up 30%. And Marissa, she's in night school for business, working full-time, and she's dating someone who makes her laugh, not someone who makes her pose. I listened, a lump in my throat, to words I'd once believed I'd never hear. Change, real change. Most of all, she whispered, I need you to know I'm sorry. We weren't just taking your money, we were taking your future, treating you like a resource, not our daughter. And I hate that it took losing you to see it. I stared out at the skyline where my new life shimmered, and for the first time, I let myself believe she meant it. At Christmas, I drove back to Brookfield. The house was humbler, stripped of performance. My father, apron crooked, argued with Marissa's new boyfriend about turkey basting times. My mother's laugh was real. Marissa's smile was genuine. And my father pulled me aside, pressed an envelope into my hand. $500. The first payment back to you, not because you need it, because we owe it, because respect requires repayment. For once, his eyes didn't demand. They offered. I cried harder at that envelope than I had at the rejection notice they once feared. 6 months later, another envelope arrived with their regular repayment check and a birthday invitation. Not for Marissa, but for me, nothing elaborate, just family and friends, celebrating someone we love and respect. I held the letter in trembling hands, thinking back to the morning of my 25th, when my birthday was canceled for a dinner that never lasted. Now, my family wanted to honor me not for what I gave, but for who I was. The crisis I engineered had not destroyed us. It had remade us. Canceling their mortgage payment hadn't been vengeance. It had been the gift of truth. And in the end, it gave me the greatest gift of all, a life of my own, and a family finally worthy of my love. Thank you for staying with me through this journey. If Elena's story spoke to you, subscribe to Vengeance Within, where we reveal the hidden battles behind closed doors and the strength it takes to win them.